to another Angle podcast. We have Dr Vee with us here today. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Hi Kate, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I'm really great. It's actually, I was just thinking how much of a nice day it is outside.
It is, isn't it? It's really hot and we've both worn jumpers today, so wrong choice. But did you travel far? Have you come from
Southwest actually?
Southwest,
yeah,
okay.
So Putney way.
Oh, okay, so not too bad.
Not too bad.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, it's amazing to have you on our podcast today.
I've
got so many questions to ask you, but maybe we should start by asking, what inspired you, what made you want to go into dentistry, and you're also a qualified PT and sports nutritionist.
Made me sound great. Oh gosh, so I love people. I think for me, choosing a career that was focused around providing care and creating an impact on people's lives was where I knew my heart was.
Yeah.
And to be able to encompass science and healthcare and a little bit of artistry and just all these things, for me, dentistry turned out to be the best career option. And alongside it, I think having done all these courses have complemented my work and allowed me to be the best dentist I can be, really. Because it's not just, I find that I don't just see patients and give them advice on their teeth.
Yeah.
So I'm able to give them advice on how to change their diet, which is so important because obviously diet is massively linked with oral health.
Yeah.
And then obviously when a patient starts looking at their diet differently, I can also get them to think about how they're moving their body differently as well. And what I try and see it as holistic care.
Yeah.
So I think that actually if you can inspire someone to look after their body holistically, then looking after their oral health will be a byproduct of it. So obviously if they're moving their body and they're educated about exercise and the best way to move their body for them, obviously everyone's different, and then how they can change their diet to be best for them and to be the healthiest for them, then obviously looking after their teeth and their oral health will just be a byproduct of it because they'll be looking after themselves overall. And I think if you can inspire that in a patient, then that's the best you can do, really, as a dentist.
Yeah, most definitely, yeah. And I think you have your blog as well, don't you? And it has so many amazing recipes on. A lot of them very sweet orientated, like sweet foods. Do you think there's this misconception around like sweet food and like good and bad food, that this public perception that is it wrong? Do you think that there's this dichotomy of good and bad?
100%. This dichotomy is completely wrong, because I think what it is just a lack of education, isn't it? Because it's so unhealthy to label foods as good and bad. It's essentially just educating people that actually some things are more nutrient dense than others, and the best and the healthiest and the happiest you can be is by understanding this and having a diet where you're not restricted, you're feeding your body with whole foods, nutrient dense foods that actually leaves room for treats, because we're all human at the end of the day. And it's really important to have a diet that encompasses all food groups, because nothing's good and bad inherently, and if you tell yourself something you can't have it or that it is bad, then it creates such a negative connotation towards it, and then you have this binge restrict cycle mentality, which is so unhealthy, isn't it?
Yeah, no, definitely, yeah. I think you're right, and I think people do need to learn a bit more, I think, about nutrition, and you're right. I think you said on your Instagram that a lot of people ask you, like, how can you eat so much food and still stay so lean? But you're right, it's about this, like, nutrient-dense food that will fill you up for longer, most definitely, yeah. And in terms of training and your PT stuff, has that changed a lot during lockdown and, in this new kind of COVID times? How are you what are you doing in this new time?
Yeah, I think we all had to kind of take a step back and really adapt and just kind of work with what we had. So I think over lockdown was definitely a challenge, but it was amazing because I think people explored new ways to move their body, and it's all about finding what works for you and finding something that actually you don't need to find the discipline to do every day, because if you're motivated to do it, then you'll do it for yourself anyway. You're not dragging yourself to do something if it makes you feel good, and actually you find that it also it's benefiting you in so many different ways, like your mental health, your physical health, you feel good, you look good, and it's that cycle that then keeps you doing something, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Rather than like forcing yourself to do something. I was really lucky, I managed to actually buy some kettlebells online. I don't know if you managed to get anything.
Yeah, it was madness. I managed to get my hands on like a big, 7-foot Olympic bar, and then
oh wow.
That was because I was literally on the computer when everything was announced.
You're so lucky.
I know everything was sold out, wasn't it? But yeah, the kettlebells,
sold
very
out
useful.
so quickly, and I think I was so lucky because a kettlebell is something that's so versatile, and you can do so much with a kettlebell. So I was really, really lucky, and it just challenged me to adapt my training, to think of new ways to use the weights. Obviously you're doing things that are time under tension, or more plyometric training, and just experimenting with new ways to move your body that also is challenging and keeping you excited and motivated to train. So I think it was good. It was a good challenge, I thought.
Yeah, and did you take up, I feel like everyone started running and doing 5Ks. Was that something you got involved with?
I know, they did, didn't they?
It's
Actually,
crazy.
I think for me, it was what running represented. So for me, running kind of gives you a sense of freedom, and especially when you don't have a location that you're running towards, because we were all confined to our houses and our apartments and flats and things. Being able to run, I think, gave everyone that mental freedom.
Yeah.
I don't know if you felt that. I don't know if you've done any running. I did try a few times, and actually surprised myself. I didn't think I was going to be able to run, but I think one day I managed a 10K without even thinking about it.
That's impressive.
But I think it's because I didn't have a goal in mind. I was just running and running. And I think what actually running represented for a lot of people is that freedom that we still have. We're actually still so lucky that, yes, we're all in lockdown, but we're so lucky that we live in a country where it's safe to just get up, put some trainers on, and just go outside for a run.
That's true. That's very true. Yeah. I did. I mean, I tried once or twice, but I think for me, like weight training.
You had your bar, so
I know. I was just stuck in my garage with my my Olympic bar, but amazing. And in terms of your PET stuff, do you work with clients, or is that just something, as you said, that kind of worked with your dentistry and your nutrition side of things?
So I do have a lot of ideas long term what I want to do with it, but it's all in the pipeline because I want to make sure that it's done correctly before I get too excited. I think for me, because obviously when you have a following on social media, you have a level of responsibility.
Yeah.
And if I'm ever in a position where I want to give advice about training, moving your body, and even to my patients, I want to make sure that that's coming from a credible place.
Yeah.
So you can read all the journals and papers in the world, and you can do, watch all the YouTube videos, listen to all the podcasts, but I think just having that qualification there makes you that little bit more credible. So you've got something to fall back on to say, do you know what, actually, what I've understood is correct and it's been tested, and I know that the advice I'm giving out is the correct advice. I would never want to be in a position where, I abuse my responsibility or I abuse my, sense of influence, as they say. So I think that's why it was really important for me to make sure that I've got that qualification under my belt before I was able to move forward.
And do people approach you a lot, like on Instagram, asking for nutritional advice and
so much,
do they?
Dental advice,
really?
Nutrition advice.
Oh my gosh!
How to. I think it's more just kind of what motivates me as well. So a lot of people are just how do you go to the gym, and then how do you do dentistry, and then how do you do this?
Such a lot.
I'm so passionate about all these things, and I love doing them, that actually I don't look at any of it as a chore. It's just what I love. Yeah. And I think having that passion is what keeps me going. Yeah. I don't ever think, I have to go to work. No, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh my God, who am I going to meet today? Who's going to walk through my door? And what can I give to that person? How can I help them? Some people come in and actually they have perfectly healthy mouths, and actually I don't really need to do too much oral health wise, but then we end up having a chat about nutrition, or we end up having a chat about their mental health, or because a lot of times been really challenging in so many ways for so many people. And we could talk about this for hours, but for me to be in a position where I can give people the right advice on how to look after their mental health as well, means a lot to me. And I go home knowing that I've done the best job I can.
Yeah.
I just hate being able to not answer the question if I'm asked something.
Yeah, no, amazing. That's, honestly, I don't know how you fit in everything. It's very impressive.
Thank you.
Do you have to have like a schedule? Do you have to set like a regimented schedule of times to do things?
Initially, I think I did, but I think because when you do something enough, it becomes habit, doesn't it? So for me, my body just knows when I have to wake up in the morning. Like, even though I have an alarm set, when it gets to like 5:30, 6, I'm just naturally up.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I just don't think it's a chore, because I'm like, I'm getting up early because there's a purpose to getting up early, because this is my hour in the gym.
Yeah.
And I know that when I leave, I'm gonna feel amazing, because I'll have already accomplished something in my day. And I've got mental clarity, and I can go to work feeling great, and I can give then 110% to my patients because I'm feeling the best I can.
That's true.
And I put myself in that position by waking up early, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the following day, either I wake up naturally, or when my alarm goes off, it's not a drag to pull myself out of bed, because I'm like, no, like, I'm going to feel great for doing this.
Yeah.
And just to remind yourself.
Yeah.
Of why, remind yourself of your own why. Everyone has
That's
their
true.
why. And it's just reminding yourself of
Yeah.
what yours is.
So that you would say that's your top tip for like motivation, because I feel like
Find your why.
Yeah,
100%.
find your why. Because
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, even me, like after lockdown, I felt I went into a bit of a slump, you know what I mean? And then going back to the gym, it was a bit of a chore,
really
and
difficult.
so
you built your own routine in lockdown that obviously kept you sane, kept you happy, and it's then that attack almost to the life that you had, and it's adapting again to another new normal.
It's
really difficult.
Yeah, and would you say you have any fitness or kind of general goals that you want to achieve in the next few weeks, months? What's next for you?
I think for me, it's always just keeping myself excited. So I know that, and I don't know if you're the same as well, but if you do something over and over, you kind of feel like you've gotten the most you can out of that situation. It's like, say for example, you were following a particular training program. After a few weeks where you feel like you've mastered it, you want the next challenge. So for me, it's always about when I know I'm going to feel that, then just switching things up and making sure that I'm always excited and I'm always motivated, because I've always got something challenging me. But it's always just trying new things, and I'm so open to like talking to people about what they like doing, and it's just a case of always making sure that I'm a little bit excited about training, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I get you completely.
So just switching things up every now and then, and
Okay, amazing. And so Vee, you are vegetarian, pescatarian? Pescatarian. Okay, cool. And was that something that you wanted to do for the nutritional benefit, or what was the impetus behind being pescatarian?
I think so. From a young age, I've never really eaten animals, and I think the older you get, the more you realise that obviously we're more aware of now the impact it has on the environment and things like that. I think for me, it actually created a challenge for me, because you have to look at your diet a lot more closely and ensure that you are getting all the nutrients that you need from food, because obviously when you cut out a food group that you've been eating for such a long time, you have to start thinking about, okay, well, do I need to take a multivitamin? Do I need to supplement with creatine because I'm not eating meat? Am I eating enough fish? Because obviously, you don't want to have too much oil in your diet, but you want to make sure you're having the right amount. So obviously it then imposed a challenge on me to learn more about it, to learn more. I think that obviously then that made me ask more questions about nutrition, read more journals, read more articles, do the diplomas, and then just educate myself and make sure that actually when you're choosing to cut out a really large food group, you really need to pay close attention to your diet and make sure that you are getting in everything that you can from whole foods. And if not, I always like to think of multivitamins as an insurance policy. So because obviously some days you have good days and some days you have bad days, like when you're tired in work, you don't eat as best that you can. And if you've taken your multivitamin, then I like to think of it as an insurance policy to make sure that you've had all your nutrients for that day. But I think for anyone that's cut out or looking to cut out anything from their diet, you really need to take a closer look at where you're going to be getting in all these food groups and making sure that you are getting in the right nutrients and benefits from all other aspects of your diet. So just created like a more of a challenge.
Yeah, definitely. I think I found that as well, because I was like vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian now. So what would you recommend then, like supplement wise, for people that don't eat meat or
so I think getting in creatine is really important. And just ensuring that you have enough. If you are pescatarian, making sure that you do have enough oily fish throughout the week. But what's amazing now is that there are so many soy, seitan, all of these incredible alternatives that, one, taste just like meat, two, are packed full of protein, and three, you could do so much with as well. So I think actually we're so lucky that we're in a position where, yes, you might be cutting out a particular food group, but you only have to pop to the supermarket and there's an incredible array of all these vegetarian alternative options, all these meat derivatives and like soya-based foods and things. So we're actually really, really lucky. I mean, they're great actually. I do love like the meat alternatives, but I've always wondered, are they actually like good for you in a way? Because I think they're quite processed, aren't they? They're like processed foods in a way. Is it something that you should stay away from, or do you recommend, eating them to get the protein in? So I think it's just all about moderation. I think you have to look at the packets and make sure that, like you say, it's not, because processed doesn't necessarily mean bad. A lot of what we eat is processed. Like, for example, even coffee has been processed to get it ground and things like that. So I think we need to be careful using that word when it comes to food, because obviously we don't want to make any food groups taboo and like good or bad. It's just a case of looking at what's in it. So obviously if you're buying solid tofu, then that's got very little else added to it and it's very minimally processed. But for example, you are right in the sense that some products, if you look at the back of the packet, it is packed full of E numbers and salt and sugar and things like that. So actually those things have been added to, completely change the purpose of what that product was doing in the first place. So I think it's just becoming a little bit more educated and a little bit more aware of what's in your food, and just, having a read of what you're putting into your body. Because it's really important to be aware of what's going into your body, what's going on your body at the end of the day. Yeah,
definitely. And with that, what would you say is like a staple in your diet? Do you have something you eat every day that you think is, is good for you, or do you change it up? Like,
I do change it up. For me, eggs.
Really?
Yes, I love eggs so much, and they're so good for you. They're just, honestly, they're just little powerhouses of nutrients. I think you got your protein, your good fats, and just everything about eggs. I love, and you could do so much with eggs as well every day. So I think that's probably the reason I couldn't be vegan.
Just eggs. Everyone says cheese, but I have to agree. But eggs, no, definitely. You're right. And final question, I wanted to ask you, what is your favorite food or snack?
Oh my goodness.
Do you have one?
Oh wow, so I'm a massive foodie, obviously. I've recently discovered that for me, I love fusion food. So Japanese,
like a fusion,
because it encompasses so many incredible flavors. So actually, when you're eating the dish, it's not just one flavor. You're experiencing it's almost like you're getting an experience, and actually, it's like a range of flavors and textures, and it's just incredible. I think that I've realized actually fusion food is my favorite. I think that's where I get a lot of my recipe ideas. So I'll make something very simple, but then I'll add a twist. So I'll add like a Mediterranean twist to it, or I'll add like an Asian twist to it, or like a westernized twist to something, and then actually you've created a dish that's become a fusion dish. And then it's got that little extra. Something.
Oh, amazing. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for coming today, and it's been really interesting. I'm gonna have to try make some fusion food now. Like, you've inspired me.
You can come over anytime.
Thank you.